Hello, beautiful people. I wanted to share a do-it-yourself with that very trending, chunky crocheted blanket. So, got this on Amazon. I'll link it down below. I'm going to start by actually unraveling it because you don't want it to have too much tension, but be very gentle with it. So, just kind of like doing a little looping action here. But you see how it's freshly unwound. Now the key reason why we have to unloop everything is because as you're doing your crocheting, you do not want super tension, and if you are having to undo this every time you chain something, it's not going to work out for you. So it's just more convenient to take an unloop.
Okay, I figured the easiest way to do this would be to do a little voiceover. You're going to create a slip knot by taking your yarn or fabric, I call it fabric, and making a little loop-de-loop knot. So, this will be the basis of your chain, the starting point. So you will want that little extra tail to be left over, and just make sure your knot and your first piece is about the size of your hand. So you want to keep on like adjusting it to really fit. So now to actually start the chain, get a little bit of fabric, pull it out, and what you're going to do is to stick your hand in and to start to pull. So stick your hand in, grab a little extra. Stick your hand in, grab a little extra. This is starting your chain. And what's great about this is that at this point, if you make a mistake, and this is why I love crocheting, you can actually just pull it out and go back in. Okay, so I've proceeded to do a couple chains, and what you want to do is inspect your chains to make sure that you have a little V on one side and then a little V with a bubble on the opposite side. So I noticed that I messed up somewhere, so I just pulled it out and started over. It's okay. That's what I really do enjoy about crocheting, compared to like if you do stitch work or anything like that. Once you make a mess with that, it's kind of hard to come back from. So just start back over, really focusing on making sure that I'm using my hand as my size guide and making sure I have a V on one side and a V with a bubble on the opposite side. And you'll see why you need that bubble coming up in a minute.
gonna check my length, see if we're there. For my bed, I decided to do a little throw kind of for the end of the bed, and our aim is 100 inches. So let's go get the tape measure and try it out. Okay, so I have chained it to 100 inches, and now we're going to work on working our way back. So getting a little close up, you want to work from this side where the little bubbles are. Now, say you messed up and you go through and you don't have a bubble, all you have to do to correct your error is pull back until you get to that point. Okay, just be very gentle since it's unspun. But we're gonna do that last chain that I needed to do, and then one more.
Okay, you have your hand in the loop. What you're gonna do is you're gonna stick your whole hand in. And remember how we talked about those bubbles? You're gonna find your first bubble, kind of wiggle it up a little bit because it's gonna be tight. And then stick your 2 fingers into that little hole, just like so. Grab the excess and then pull through. Now you made little bunny ears, and then take your bunny ear that's closest and flip it over. And then you're just gonna keep on repeating that process and making sure that you're checking that you're measuring using the width of your hand. So go back in through that bubble, pull the excess out, make your bunny ears, and in this one I actually made a little mistake. I went to go cross over the wrong way. You'll notice it's the wrong way because it doesn't loop. So just make sure you're pulling the outside one over.
Okay, once you do your last bubble chain, if you want to call it that way, you're going to do a single stitch. So it means put your hand through and pull through again. So now you have a nice little line here. And now you're going to flip all of your work to the opposite side. And then I'll show you what we're doing next. So this is your chain. These are if you take and turn your work up. So like basically if your hand's here, you see it sideways. Make it a little bit easier to see. Get some of that out of the way. That's from the side. Now if you turn it upwards, you can actually see all the chains. So this, all the single stitches. So this is a stitch right here. So what you're gonna do, your hand's in here. You can put it on your wrist if you'd like. You're gonna find that single stitch, pinch through, grab your yarn, pull it through, always measuring with your hand. And then slip this one over that one, and then repeat. So just grab it, find your next 2 together. Fingers are gonna go through, pull some through, make it 2 bunny ears, and then flop it over. I have that Bugs Bunny song in my head. So 1, stick your wrist through, find your single stitch on top, that you haven't gone through yet, you're grabbing both. So you see how it's like the two together? Grab both, and then you're going through there and pulling through. Bunny ears, and then flop the one over. Crocheting is all repetition, guys. That's all it is. Just try to be very gentle to your yarn. That's all I have to say about this kind of yarn. Measure, put it on, bind your next stitch. Going through the hole, pull, bunny ear, cross over. And what I've seen is that I can like kind of stroke the yarn to make sure it's a little bit more flat when working with it. And you're just gonna repeat this until you get to the end. You can kind of see how it's stacking on itself. So I wanted to give you a little bit of a different view. So I'm at the end and I just did my second chain here. So what you're doing is you're taking this hand and finding that single stitch here, sticking your fingers through it, pulling from the back side forward, making two little bunny ears, and then you cross this one over here. And you just keep on doing that all the way back down the side until you get your desired width. So we worked lengthwise, and I did 100 inches. And now I'm gonna work probably about 12 inches or so for my bed runner.
The end is finally here. So I finished my last chain and now I did cut off the excess. I meant to record that for y'all, but I did not push record. So rookie error. So what you do is you take and actually feed through that last chain, leaving yourself a good 5 to 6 inches of working tail. So you're going to see as I'm kind of pulling my little chains through, and I want to feed that excess tail through. The reason why you want to have that excess is because you are able to still manipulate the fabric, and if you just cut and tie right at the end, there's no slack left over and it can't move. So we're going to feed it through, just picking a couple precise chains to just feed it through. You're going to go down one way and then you're going to come back towards that knot, just making sure that you're not putting it all in one area because then it's noticeable. You're going to keep on feeding it through. And I did decide to cut off a little bit more from those. I left a little bit more than 5 to 6 inches, to be honest. So after feeding it through a couple times, realizing I had a little too much, I just made a decision to cut off an extra inch and then tuck the excess away. And after cutting the excess away, I just precisely tuck that in. Perfect. And you want to manipulate your fabric a little bit, pulling it apart, really getting so you can see all those great working stitches that you've made. You have done this, so if you follow along, I would love to know if you guys actually follow this tutorial or DIY, because it is a DIY. It's just something that I wanted to do, and it was super cute in the end. Perfect for what we needed to do for the house. And with that work, that first tail that you had in the beginning, you're going to do exactly the same thing to the opposite side. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you back here with some other Toothy Tuesdays and also some random DIYs. Have a great one.